episode of Let's Talk About Web3. We're here with season 3, episode 6 with Blue to Black, our guest. And as always, he's from the Web3 Artist Awards, which I'm super excited to talk about tonight. But we'll start off with a little bit of gratitude. I'm grateful this week to be able to share with all of you guys a little bit about the Web3 Artist Awards because it's been something that I wanted to share with our community a little bit for the last few weeks and really get people to bring their energy towards it. So I'm excited to be here today. And I'm grateful for you being here with us, Blue to Black. So I'll kick it over to Onaji B, and then we'll kick it over to Blue to Black.
Most definitely. This week, I'm grateful for mentorship. I'm grateful for mentorship. I'm grateful for even having digital mentors, people from the past and even the present that we can look up to and get knowledge from and get, gems of information from. That's kind of been my solid vibe this week. And I'm thankful for Z to putting me on to some of those mentors as well, too. So, some of the motivational like podcasts I've been listening to, Z put me on, have been like pretty solid for this week. So, yeah, that's what I'm grateful for. What about you, BluetoBlack?
I'm very happy to be chatting with you guys here today. It's always a pleasure to kind of like meet other people within this Web3 ecosystem that we, brag about so much. And it's really about what are we shaping through this? What does Web3 kind of mean for us? What's this upgrade to the internet, cryptocurrencies, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and just this kind of gathering of the technology and the art. How can we kind of create a future from that? But how can we also kind of secure a safe edge into this? And that means we need to be a kind of tightly knit community. We need to kind of give each other advice and opportunities and kind of grow together and really kind of challenge the norms of what yesterday was into what we can shape for the future. So, kind of playing a role in all of that is really, the attempt here to kind of prove the provenance of the chain, and we'll definitely dive into that a little bit more later. But thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. So thank you.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Thanks for being here. Well, let's just start off with a little bit about yourself. Why don't you tell everyone, a little bit about yourself and how you kind of came into Web3?
Well, I started BluetoBlack about 19 years ago. Next year is 20 years. And initially started with punk, metal, and rock bands and drum and bass. That's really where BluetoBlack got started. And it was actually through that time of kind of working with these musicians, promoting these artists, that I actually saw that there is a certain kind of voice to the arts, especially when it comes to your kind of hard rock and punk and metal and those type of things. There's a kind of inherent voice within that music. And the more you kind of dive into the lyrics and the act and the stage personalities and those type of things, the more you kind of really discover the deeper kind of inherent voice of the arts. What are the artists actually saying about all that, and what are they kind of trying to achieve through that? What are they representing? What is their voice as an artist? And that kind of took me on a journey of kind of qualifying myself in music production and film production and those type of things. And then for about 10 years I focused on building an audience for BluetoBlack, for kind of focusing on different categories of the arts, and then finding those artists within those categories. Anything from landscape design, sculpture, graffiti, body art, dancing, music, you name it, dancing, the whole lot. And it really was about kind of trying to kind of build that base of finding the artist around the world and kind of bringing them together in terms of, what can I kind of contribute to them through BluetoBlack. So it really kind of took me a while to kind of build the audience, about 10 years to get to 10,000 artists, that is. And once I reached that stage of kind of having the artists supporting BluetoBlack, then the main aim was then activating these artists, making sure that they can benefit through Blue to Black. And so that meant that I had to kind of focus on kind of community driven projects to kind of find out not just what's the voice of the underground, but what's the voice of those artists. What are they really trying to say? And it was actually through this process that I got involved in the curation of when artists a voice, because in order for me to really understand what's the voice of the underground, I first had to understand what's the voice of art. So then the first curation of when art is a voice was really geared towards that. But then at that stage, I wasn't involved in Web3 yet. I was kind of planning to do everything through PayPal and Stripe and those type of things. And because of being connected to so many countries, currently connected to about 155 countries globally. So because of being connected to so many countries, when I did the curation, I actually realized that I cannot do business with all the countries that I've got artworks from. Because if I go to, Pakistan, then, they don't allow PayPal. If I go to Taiwan, then, they don't have anything like that. They have their own entire version. If I go to Iran, then they completely banned from PayPal. And, so you really start realizing that the world is playing kind of an international game of, dominance and financial control, and that you're actually unable to do international transactions, or actually influence international transactions, because the world is kind of sanctioned or budgeted, or the financial system is corrupted. International transactions are not actually possible. And there's levies and fees and disturbances and sanctions, like I mentioned. So how do you actually bring the world together in terms of a financial thing, like the curation of When Artist Voice? And I was then actually forced to kind of open my mind up to Web3, because that then answered all of that kind of problems, in terms of now all you need to do is have a mobile, download the app, and there you go, Bob's your uncle. Monetization is possible, and international sales is possible, and royalties are possible, and it kind of it challenges the traditional financial structure of the world. And it is exactly because of that that I became an ambassador for Web3 and blockchain technology and these type of things, because it honored that dilemma of international transactions, international sales, and things, international exposure. So it wasn't an easy journey. Obviously, I started on manifold and those type of things. Third web, and first kind of went into those type of sides, and then I didn't really have much luck in kind of terms of doing that, and then I went into Rareable and Foundation, and then finally I kind of settled on Tezos. The reason why I settled on Tezos is because you don't really have an excuse not to participate. The gas fees are pretty low. It's an international community. Object is one of the biggest marketplaces in the NFT world. So what excuse does the artist have not to really participate then in cryptocurrencies? Because Tezos has always been a kind of stepping stone for the artist, where they first kind of start on Tezos to kind of build up a little bit of a repertoire or a little bit of cash, and then they jump to another chain, maybe Solana or Polygon or Base, or whatever it might be. So it really was, that's how the journey started. But it's definitely not where it ended. So that curation then kind of brought me to kind of see that now I know it's possible. Now I know the world is able to be linked and connected and celebrated. So the next thing to do was then to plan the magazine Revolutionary Art. And the magazine Revolutionary Art is an NFT that is basically shared between all the writers and all the projects that are contributing articles to the magazine. So once again, it challenges the norm. It challenges the traditional way of producing and publishing. So instead of me paying the artist and then taking their content and kind of buying it for myself and then publishing the magazine with me as the kind of sole beneficiary of the magazine, now I'm challenging that norm through NFTs by creating a payment splitting between all the participants. So every single person is basically a co-owner of the magazine. They are, definitely having equal shares of the magazine. So, and it was exactly through the magazine where I asked, the team of writers there and so forth, what else can we do with this magazine? What else can be a benefit of this magazine? And I started doing some research through AI and those type of channels and, having a chat. And that's how I kind of discovered, the award ceremony as another kind of initiative to publish something within the magazine so that there can be a little bit more kind of content that brings people together, like more names being mentioned and those type of things. And then I got a few kind of founders of the together, and we started discussing this. And then that discussion ended up becoming a kind of collective vision of all of those that kind of participated in that initial meeting about, how can we approach this awards ceremony kind of thing. And it was exactly through everybody kind of contributing to the idea that this kind of collective vision was born of, creating an alliance between different brands to push their communities forward to be represented within the awards. So obviously, the Web3 Artist Awards is based on, communities. It is based on influencers. It's based on certain brands that came into a certain alliance to kind of make the reach bigger, the influence bigger. Because obviously, if I only focus on the BluetoBlack community, then it will only be those artists that I know that will be pushed forward. And I think that's not really the motto of inclusivity. So, in order to be fully inclusive of all the artists, I need to go outside of my own clique, outside of my own followers and those type of things. And that's why the approach was really needed to create this alliance of sorts between brands. And it was exactly those brands that then, came together to organize, the first issue of the Web3 Artist Awards, which was, X Space that was streamed into Spatial. And then basically, the prizes are NFTs and so forth as well. So, and then these badges kind of being given to, all the participants, anything from the nominees, the nominators, the judges, the team of organizers, the presenters, the performers, and so forth. So it really, ended up becoming quite a scheduled event, in terms of making it happen. But it was a massive success in terms of, the people that listened into it and, the reputation that was kind of born from that. This year, once again, we're kind of aiming on going a little bit bigger by also including an AI film festival the day before the awards that also contributes to, enriching the Web3 Artist Awards a little bit more by also celebrating, AI film. Now, I just talked to some of the organizers of the AI Film Festival just earlier today, and we now have four categories for the AI Film Festival. It's skits, animation, short form, and then what was the last one there? Kids, animation. Bloody hell. Oh, it'll come to me there. Yeah, but either way, we just discussed that earlier. It's probably there in the meeting, but if I touch the phone, I'll just start lagging me. So yeah, it's going great. We already have about 200 nominees so far for the Web3 Artist Awards, and about 20 categories that is opened up from the 40 proposed categories for the nominees. There are more that can qualify, but there's just not enough to really say that it was a fair amount of nominees. So once there's a little bit more nominees in some of those other categories, there might be more qualifying, but it's really going all well. And like I say, it's really about proving the provenance. As a curator, I was reading this article many moons ago. It was probably around 2022. That said that the reason why some of the real collectors doesn't migrate to buying is because of lack of curation. a lack of kind of showing them what's the good art. They do not want to see your best art. They want to see your best art, and nobody shows that. Everybody's focused on their latest art, and nobody really cares anything about their previous work. It's going to forget about. So when it comes to the end of the year, nobody really knows what anybody did because everybody just focuses on their recent work and so forth, and just the usual show. But this event is geared towards broadcasting the best of the best, the celebrities of the space, where we choose our celebrities, and we are in control of navigating the future to what are we proud of seeing. Flooded with so much artworks these days that it really is very difficult to isolate the good ones, to isolate what's the best of the best. And in order to decide those type of things, you really need a community to decide with you. You really need to have, as far as a reach as possible in terms of really making it be as inclusive as possible, so that you can say that it was a fair competition in terms of proving who's the best. And we had the judges there last year that had 60% of the power, and then the community vote that had 40%. Then that collective amount then gave us a certain um, figure, and the four best of those are then the finalists of the Web3 Artist Awards and the ranking of it. So that gets announced on the 13th of December. So it'll always be on the second weekend of December. That's the slot of the Web3 Artist Awards. And yes, the 15th of November is obviously the deadline for these nominees. That's just around the corner. So about Saturday, Sunday, that'll be the deadline to the submissions, and then I'll focus on releasing kind of the public judging. This year I'm going to do public judging because I feel like Web3 should be free, should be kind of more evolved than the traditional world. I don't want to focus on the judges as much as last year because I think the judges is old news. I think we all have an understanding of what we like and what we don't like, and what's good and what's not good. And I think it really should be the community that helps us judge instead of official judges, because I don't think it really contributes that much. The judges were last year, so nobody really completely knew who the judges were. You want to keep the judges anonymity kind of in place. So it actually shows that why not? I think that's make the community be judges. I think that's the spirit of Web3, where we want to be free. We want to be rebelling against the old ways, and want to invent this new way of what we envision Web3 to be for all of us. And that definitely is freedom to the artist. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit more about me in a nutshell there, and the Web3 also. It's all linked, and it's all linked. So yeah, it's just the way it is.
That's awesome. No, it was great hearing a little bit more about your background. A little bit of it was cut out. I don't know if you want just some of it was in and out, but we got a lot of the context. Do you want to just repeat the dates again? Because I think it was cutting out when you're saying the dates. And then B, if you got any questions, I know you're probably loaded with a million different things in a lot of different ways. But yeah, it was great to hear a little bit more of that background, Blue Back. Do you want to just give everyone those dates? I know you said November 15th coming up is that last day to submit people for nominations. So definitely get your communities out there, get your communities putting folks in. Like BluetoBlack said, Web3 should be free. So we should definitely get all of the folks that we believe are the best of the best.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, so definitely the 15th of November, that's the deadline to the submissions. And then the AI Film Festival is on the 12th of December, and the award ceremony is on the 13th of December. It will always be held on the second weekend of December. Will be the AI Film Festival, and the next day the award ceremony. And next year I will also bring a music festival into the mix. That's also going going to be organized by the team of the Web3 Artist Awards. So yes, thank you for those. Thank you for those dates.
I don't know B, if you had any questions. I got the dates. I got December 12th and 13th are the days of the awards as well. So definitely mark that in your calendar. Get ready for an amazing stream.
No, I love it. It's super cool just to hear, another use case where um, essentially like a global community is being built and being formed, around these artists, and we're trying to just do the simple thing of exchanging value or exchanging currency and money, and it's like there's so many different barriers, there's so many different, you know, just governmental things or whatever that kind of stops us. So I think it is pretty cool to see, you utilizing Web3 and blockchain technology just for that simple use case of just trying to build community globally. And I think that's really cool. It's really solid. And I think, how has the shift into Web3 kind of transformed what you guys have been building? Because I mean, you touched on like, um, the magazine and being able to divvy out shares to the artists with that as well too, utilizing the tech, and that's so cool. So what other different ways have you guys been utilizing like the blockchain technology side?
Well, definitely. Anyways, the connection that we make as citizens of Victory is absolutely essential. You know, it really is something.
It is cutting out a little bit right now. I don't know if you want to move your phone a little bit and see see just a step, but it might be oh,
Yeah. Can you still
there
hear
we
me there?
go. There we go. A lot better.
Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so yeah, well, you have to try it in any ways possible. First of all, I'm onboarding a lot of artists onto Web3. You know, because of my connections,
I like
I'm connected to lots of different forms of art, and the question now is how do I bring some of those other forms of art into Web3? Like dancing or sculpture or graffiti or body art or street musicians or food art. How do you bring that into Web3? That's the question that's on my mind at the moment. And also, how do we integrate AI, virtual reality, and blockchain? That's the second question. And the other one is how do we challenge international finance? So that's the other thing. But the artists are really the driving force behind everything because they are the ones that also educates me how to do things. They teach me about this technology, they teach me about all the potential of what we can do together. So it's really that's the question. Like this year I'm also created an alliance with the people that organized the Web3 AI Film Festival from Colorado, or I think it was Colorado. Um, they are also, part of the AI Film Festival this year because I think it's important to be non-competitive, in terms of bigger brands. What does it help? One guy does this, and the next guy wants to do the same thing, and you don't recognize the pioneers that have already been kind of leading the way. And that's why I'm very non-competitive when it comes to these type of things. I don't do this for competition, I do this for celebration. I want the ecosystem to come together, not to challenge one another and compete against one another. So in Web3, it's kind of like more of a spirit. How are we creating the foundation of Web3? How are we coming together as a global community and kind of standing together to do something that is transcending boundaries, borders, and religions, and politics, and these type of things. And how do we kind of, as Web3, represent humanity? And that's the real kind of things that's really on the agenda here. We have to be bigger than all of this. You know, we need to kind of we need to influence the poorer countries to adopt this technology, and we need to broadcast this technology to them. We have to find a use case for them to really understand this technology and use it and benefit from it. Now, obviously, it's slow. You can't say that everybody will be making money through all of this. You have to be in this for the heart of it at first. Because if you dive into this thinking you're going to become stinking rich, and you're going to have your art be the most significant in the world, then you make a mistake. This is about the community. It is about the support. It's about reinventing the future. And we all can play a role in it, because this technology is kind of cleared the playing field a bit. So now anybody can really kind of learn how to kind of get involved, and how to do something innovative and so forth within this. And it's exactly when this technology hits the artist that it flowers and it blossoms and it blooms, because that's when we all kind of have something to give. We have something to offer to this technology, and we find ourselves within it. And it really is about the community. It's the community that makes you kind of stick around and continue to do this, continue to participate. And even if you don't get sales, or it's a bear market, and nothing's happening, then you still have that little bit of support of somebody that really values what you're doing. And I'm also a big ambassador for the fact that you get royalties for the artworks, and that you can do payment splittings and these type of things. So you can really pay your entire film production crew through payment splittings if you really want to. And then obviously the authenticity of the artwork. You can prove the ownership of the artwork. You can have that digital ownership of your work, so nobody can just go and download it from Instagram, and put it on a t-shirt, and say this is my work. So it kind of limits all of that kind of fraudulent behavior. But obviously there are a few bad actors. So Web3 is also about community because of that. Because of we need each other to educate ourselves against those fraudulent bad actors that are there. So these communities and these initiatives, it kind of guides the audience into you know where to kind of walk, where to find safety within all of this, and who to trust, because that really is the big issue here. Nobody knows who to trust. You don't click on any links, and you're so afraid of just opening your wallet while you're online. And this is something that we need to challenge, and this is something that we have been challenging. This Web3 Artist Awards is sure as hell giving people the way of kind of looking at some of the top content of this year, being able to trust the links and verified links and so forth. And it gives us trust again. You're clicking on links here on our behalf, participating in the judging on the nominations, or just looking what's going on, or collecting some work. So it really has an influence, a massive influence on creating that bit of foundation. And this is exactly what we've been lacking. We lack that proper foundation, in terms of that safe passage into this beautiful ecosystem that we're all a part of.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, I think, a lot of times we talk about this, the technology around like this trustless thing that nobody has to, verify anything from any humans. I think that's kind of, we go backwards when we have communities that are intentional around creating some cool things for, the humanity. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's very cool. That's a very cool call out that you said. It's interesting because a lot of times people feel like, okay, I thought this was supposed to be trustless. Yes, but humans are still at the forefront of creating this technology. So we still need communities that are helping people learn and grow safely in this industry. So well said.
To be bad actors, but then you can educate yourself against some of the stupid things, like never give anybody your seed phrase. I mean, it's rule number one. So, but if you don't know it, and you accidentally trust somebody pretending to be foundational, pretending to be, you know, MetaMask wallet, whatever. So you might think that yes, okay, well, maybe there is a kind of loophole where you can be allowed to kind of give that out to somebody or not, but then just don't. Nobody will ask you for that, but sometimes you don't know those silly things. You just don't know it. Nobody have told you that. Yes, sure, we say that, well, don't click on any bad links and so forth, but how do you know who to trust? If somebody, maybe it's your friend that's sending you that link, and you're thinking, oh, well, it's my friend, let me trust this link. And then, whoops, there you go, somebody scammed you out of, some of your crypto. But then, in the end of the day, you can be educated against this. You can do your due diligence in terms of protecting yourself, protecting your investment, protecting your art, and educating one another. And that's absolutely essential in this ecosystem. We should be there for one another. If we want to make this work, then we need to be very tight, a very tight knit community. And, at the moment, there are a lot of people just kind of in it for themselves. They just want to make a quick buck and they ended up making nothing because they don't realize how important community really is in getting anywhere, getting recognition. You know, um, that's that's the least of your problems when it comes to NFTs is like advertising. The marketplace doesn't really help you out in marketing your stuff. The algorithm is totally, either non-existent or it doesn't really help anybody. It's maybe a little bit about today's curation or something like that, but the algorithm doesn't help. The marketplaces doesn't help. So we need to support one another in broadcasting those artworks, and we really need it. If you don't have it, you probably won't get any sales because you will not be discovered. So discoverability is absolutely everything, especially when it comes to this vast open sea of artworks kind of flooding the market. And where do you even find good art in India today? They say that there's more art that's been created in the last couple of years than has ever been created in the entire history of humanity. Can you imagine that? Now, that's obviously with the advances of AI art and those type of things. I mean, there's artworks popping out every moment now. As nobody takes 2 weeks or a month to do an artwork anymore. They just, pop them out probably 100 a day. So where do you kind of draw the line of how to actually do this great, how to actually promote yourself the right way and to be broadcasted to the right type of community. And that's only community that can help you out in that. And I think virtual reality also plays an important role because the traditional gallery doesn't exist in this digital world. So in order for these digital products to be exhibited the same way as how it was done earlier, we need the galleries. But the galleries, don't need us. They don't want nothing to do with NFTs and these type of things. So we need to find a new solution to these problems of exhibiting the work. And even though I myself are attempting to kind of find a solution to that, there are still a lot more that can be done in terms of pushing the artist forward and celebrating some of the great art that's there. But yes, in a nutshell, community is absolutely everything for all the reasons, anything from marketing to, getting solid advice.
Yeah, no, I love that. We're big here on community. That's kind of how I met Onaji B from one of the very few active music on-chain communities. That's 23. I came into the space. I was just looking for good music communities and blockchain, and that was the one big community that was out there, and that I felt like that I noticed at least. And it was really cool to realize he was the one that taught me how big that building community, like how important that phase of building any kind of project is. So I love that you touched on that. I'd like to tap in more with the Web3 Artist Awards of like some of the other people that are helping you out with it, or helping organize it as a whole, and then how many kind of communities are involved right now in nominating folks. Test. Oh, I think we may have
I hear you. Yeah, I don't know.
lost you there,
Maybe.
Blue
Can you hear
Black.
me now?
There
Sorry,
we
I was
There we
go.
go.
jumping out. I was jumping out to get that list of names there, and the moment I did it, I simply lost my audio. So that's going to be difficult to do that now. But let me just see if I can remember them off by heart. It shouldn't be that difficult. So first of all, we got VTA TV. VTA TV does our streaming. They broadcast this X space into spatial and do all the recordings and those type of things. That's more the technical side. And then we've got Yanda Poe. I don't know if you're familiar with Yanda in the Genius Room. She's the co-producer of the Web3 Artist Awards. And then we've got Pedro from Colombia. He's the virtual reality director. And then we've got Dagmar Bressels, she's the creative director. And then we've got Dorothy. Dorothy is the awards director. And then I've got NJ. She's the secretary of the Web3 Artist Awards. And yeah, yeah, let me see if I can remember everybody. And then I've got Chris from Corium Community. He's the presenters director. And then we've got Rizzo. He's the music, the performers director. And then I've got Katie. Katie is the events director. And then I've got Experience Lab. She's the virtual reality creative director. And then I've got what's his name, Arc4Verse, Arcadian. He's the marketing director. And then I've got Lucas Hosford. He's the sponsorship and partnership director. And those are pretty much the directors that are really driving this forward. The people, the first that I go to in order to kind of get things rolling and moving. But then I've got big teams there. We got the management team, we got the event team, we got the performers team, we got the presenters team, we got the marketing team, we got a partnership and sponsorship team, we got the virtual reality team, we got the nominees team, we got the nominators team, we got the judges team, and then finally we have the technical team. So there's actually quite a lot of people involved, and then we also have the AI Film Festival organizers. There I got Meta Heads, I've got Rocco, I've got MT8 Center, I've got Frontier Modal, I've got Long Shot, I've got Picture Palette, I got the um, Web3 film brand that's also part of it. I got music, AI music videos brand. Then I got Rad TV. So there's quite a lot of different participants. There's about 13 of us organizing the AI Film Festival, and about 30 of us organizing the Web3 Artist Awards. So initially there was last year when I initially started the Web3 Artists Awards Alliance, there was 77 brands in Alliance. But some of them kind of faded out as we kind of progressed through the year. Not everybody kind of stuck around till the end, but it still contributed to the nominees of last year. But still this year there are kind of few replacements in some of the team members, but it's still open to a lot more. So anybody can still join the team if they feel that they can contribute something to organizing this, because it really takes a couple of months to organize this. It's really not something that just happens. Everybody have a certain part, and I communicate directly with the team member in terms of what I expect from them. Like for instance, the 3D asset designer, the one who designs the awards, the NFT awards, the digital kind of trophies that we use. The graphic designer that, creates the badges for kind of complementing all the participants. So, the website designer. All of these type of things are, none of us are getting paid for it. It's kind of voluntarily and philanthropy that we are kind of doing through this. But the benefit is activating your community. It is being able to reach out to your community and really push them forward and say, look, you're part of my community and my friends and my followers, and you got some great work here, and I'm obviously a fan of your work. I'm definitely nominating you and pushing you forward for the Web3 Artist Awards. So being able to kind of engage with your audience, engage with your followers and those type of things, it creates a solid connection between you and the followers. They are no longer just followers, they are now people that are supporting one another. And being able to kind of reach out to your followers and those type of things, it's a network come alive. you know they are not followers anymore, they are now celebrated artists, nominated artists, so there's nothing that's invalid about the Web3 Artist Awards. If you look at some of the talent that was celebrated last year, then you'll definitely see there's no joke about, who's the best. There's absolutely no joke. The people that won are definitely winners. They've got the spirit to win. They're in it. Like Ebabu, Ira. Um, you know, the thing is, I can go on here and name listing, but it's not going to help me much. The main thing is that there are top talent being represented, but being associated with these top talented artists, being nominated with them, that is a great honor. And for anybody to be a nominee, it is an absolute honor. When I released the list of nominees, it is actually the most popular post of all the posts that I do for the Web3 Artist Awards. Last year, the post of the nominees had over 14,000 views for that post. So, I mean, 14,000 people knows about you being a nominee in the end of the day. So it's almost more popular being a nominee than being a finalist, because of the amount of influence that is gathered through that nominee list. You are being put onto, you know, the map. You're being discovered by people from all different categories of art. So to be a nominee should be the greatest honor that you can receive. It is that is actually where most of the traffic goes, in discovering who's the nominees. And it's a very funny statement to make that the nominees are actually more popular than the finalists. But but still, it's because that collective influence, that's really the influencer marketing that's going on at that stage, with so many, like I said, there's currently 200 nominees. So those 200 names are all brilliant artists, and to be associated, to be one of those 200 being nominated, um, it makes a great difference in your career, in the awareness around your brand. So it I you know and the other thing is, last year there was this guy. He's 57 years of old. He's been an artist his entire life. And the Web3 Artist Awards was the first time in his entire career where he got celebrated. And the words coming from that person in terms of the appreciation for being even allowed to participate, being just even acknowledged to be an artist, you know um, that's the type of things that I want to hear. Just how beautiful it was to be an artist. What have you got to say about this journey? And if you are a winner, then by all means, you better bloody appreciate it. Because it's not about that little gift that you get as a little NFT. It's a digital trophy, obviously. It's an NFT. Everything is digital in this world because we're transcending boundaries here, borders, so you can't give anything physical to nobody. You're going to make the logistics around this too difficult. So, it is definitely the spirit that really woke me up last year. Seeing just the great talent, feeling appreciated, feeling recognized, and getting that stage, where you win. In the art world, these prize giving events are absolutely essential in the culture of the arts. For us to kind of bring this culture into the NFT world is absolutely essential. This is the heart of Web3 in the end today. It's recognition, the celebration. But I'm saying earlier, this year I'm doing some, music awards, like AI and Songwriter of the Year and Best Producer and Best Acoustic Music and so forth. Um, but so the Web3 Artist Awards is more than the billboards. It's more than the Grammys. It's more than anything that you know, because it's entirely global. Entirely global. Last year we had about 40 countries, according to my knowledge, participated in the Web3 Artist Awards. You name me another awards show that has done that before, that brought 40 countries from all over the world together to celebrate the best of the best. I mean, that's tough. And it's gonna grow. It's definitely gonna grow, but that's tough. I mean, to be associated with global talent, what more than that can you achieve in your life? I mean, you're not getting recognition from your family, you're getting recognition from a global community. So, just being recognized should already be an honor. And winning is more than an honor. Violetta Zeroni was one of the winners for music there last year. I had only one category, music. And this year, I didn't want just the same person winning again. I wanted to open it up a little bit more to discover more musicians. Because when I promote that link to your music, that link to your animation, that link to your virtual reality painting, that link to your spoken word poetry, you know, the world sees it. The world sees it. And the entire audience of all of the participants, all of the people sharing, all of those people being mentioned, sharing that thread. There's so many people seeing your work at that stage that recognition is out of this world. There is no better marketing campaign than being a nominee for the Web3 Artist Awards. Plain and simple. Because it is it is geared, it is designed to be that. It is designed to be more than the billboards and more than the Grammys. It is designed to be an entire global gathering of international artists to celebrate prestigiousness and digitization of art. It's obviously not entirely focused on blockchain. We have awards like, Best Metaverse Architect, which obviously you can't have an NFT for that, so it's a metaverse being projected. And then we have things like, AI assisted or generated music composition. So obviously, you're going to have Suno links and those type of things, being used there. But that's why I say, this is more than just one branch of, the top 40 or the top this or the top that. This is anybody that got nominated. And you can't even nominate yourself. And that's the craziest thing of it all. You can go right now and you can get the form and you can go and nominate yourself. Nothing's going to stop you. But you can also nominate as many people as you desire in any category of your choice. It's open to anybody. So if you participate or if you don't participate, the real thing is how much do you want to be recognized? Are you serious about recognition? And if you think I'm not serious about recognizing these artists, and if you don't think I'm going to be as fair and inclusive as possible in terms of finding the top ranking artists, that's what I do. I'm a curator. And to me, this is just a very big curation of top talent, from the world. It's obviously not just my own community that's being projected here. So that's what I like about it. That I'm also getting to know new artists and I'm also being exposed to different people. And yes, it's an absolute great event. Last year, after the event, I was so psyched up. I tell you, it felt like we changed the world having that event. And I hope that it's that way again this year. You get such a buzz from having these artists there, all these performers there. You'll when you're there, you'll know it. You'll know that this is not the average show. This is our show. This is the people that you know. This is the people that you've met on spaces. This is the people that you kind of cross in your path along in this journey on social media. And once you really kind of get them all together, and we're all in the same environment, different space hosts and different musicians and different painters and artists and so forth. Once we're all together, it's magic. It's absolute magic. The vibe is intoxicating. The mood, the ambience, everything is just it's it's like you can there's electricity in the air. You can feel it, and that's the vibe that I was after. I didn't ask for that. It really was a lot to do with the organizers and all the team members that's kind of made this event be what it is. But still, our recognition is your recognition. We serve the artist. We are here to serve you as the artist. We want you to be acknowledged. We want you to grow your career in terms of recognition and sales and so forth, because it's not that easy. A lot of people have only a few sales a year. If you maybe make $20 a year selling NFTs, you're lucky. You're really lucky. So why do we stick around if that's the case? Because we believe in this. We want this to work. And in order for this to work, we have to be this way. We have to be innovative to the max. And we have to bring everybody together, because it's too small of an ecosystem to leave anybody out. We can still bring anybody in. There's probably about, what, 10,000 artists, kind of moving about constantly on Web3. But in total, there's probably about 100,000 artists on Web3. But those that we are kind of having to do with here on X is only a handful. And if you kind of isolate the ones on Spaces, and you isolate the ones on X, and the ones kind of that knows about these events or that actually got invited to it, then you're talking about a handful of people, really. It's an inside click, maybe, maybe not. Maybe we are more inclusive than anybody else has ever been. Because if you look at the way Hollywood does things, it's the massive brands, the big old companies like Paramount and TriStar and Universal and those type of names that just pushes their, blockbusters into, further recognition. There's no international or actually, anything there. It's all about, you know, those production houses pushing their A-stars, celebrities to the front. It's always the same names, man. It's always the same. Once you see one event, you pretty much seen them all, because, the acts might change, but the name stays the same. It's all year in, year out. Yeah, yeah. Nicolas Cage and Jack Nicholson and, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Those are the names that you get to know through those events. It's not the names that you get to know through the Web3 Artist Awards. These guys are, they're from all scattered from all over. They're from Argentina and Brazil and Taiwan and Australia and Pakistan and India and Iran and France and England and Scotland. They come from all over the bloody shop. I'm from South Africa myself, so I mean, I've got, how many artists from South Africa do you know yourself? So what are we doing here? We're creating something that is entirely different to anything we've ever known before. And this is the power of Web3. This is the power of what we can achieve when we come together, when great minds come together, when we have a common vision. And that common vision can shape a world to be something that it's never seen before. And being a player in that, it's humbling. It really is humbling, because then you realize that, what, maybe you can. Maybe we have the power to change. But do you believe in that possibility? Did you actually think that your voice is strong enough to kind of get such a, amount of people to remember something? That event last year was the highlight of last year, not just for myself, but for anybody that was there. You know, and I hope that this year is going to be even more epic. What we are doing here is we are also penetrating the consciousness of AI. Because if you ask Grok now, for instance, what's the Web3 Artist Awards? It's going to spit it out right like this. It's not going to hinder a second, because of the massive amount of marketing and these type of things and influence and so forth. We are penetrating the consciousness of AI. So we are writing history through AI. all of those names, all of this event and everything, AI is recording it. We don't need to have history written by the victors. We are writing history through AI by penetrating its reach. It's a kind of being picked up by the system, being recognized by the system. They programmed AI to spit out what we've learned in the past, but it also made you be aware of what's happening. Now, if you penetrate the consciousness or the programming of AI through what you're doing, then you pretty much know it's going to last a while before, how they're going to take that away. How they're going to remove that event from AI's existence. It's going to remember it forever. So it's part of its programming now. So what we are doing here is absolutely, shaping the future. And I really hope that it grows. I really hope that more people learns from this, that we can have multiple communities kind of coming together like this to not just represent the larger ecosystem, but to represent humanity in itself. But yes, very passionate about that conversation there, obviously. But thank you for asking.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I know we could probably get into that for forever, but I know it's super late for you. So we got one last question from the crowd. Candy Toybox asked, are you guys doing any NFT ticketing or collectibles for the audience who want to collect the moment? I love NFT NYC's way of putting artist artwork on the ticket. Collectibles, even if it's a free event, is there like a unlock protocol or a Luma page that people can check out for the 12th and the 13th?
Okay, well, I do know about the way that NFT NYC is doing their tickets and those type of things. There's no admission fee to the Web3 Artist Awards. It's a free event.
Yeah,
But
so
in
I'm
but
saying though, even with the free option, right? Like you could add a
we will
collectible.
definitely have collectibles.
Awesome.
I'm also going to record the environment, the virtual environment. Now this year I'm broadcasting not only on Spatial but also on Decentraland. So I'm going to record the environment on Decentraland, and I'm going to record the environment on Spatial, and then I'm going to mix those together, and I'll turn that into an NFT that they can then obtain the entire event through a digital NFT. There's also going to be the voting tokens. So when it comes to the voting tokens, those are nominees. So you can support. It's a free NFT, but you can only have one per wallet. So that's our way of voting. So we will create an NFT for every single artist that was nominated, basically 200 NFTs. And then every NFT that gets bought or obtained from every artist counts as a vote. There will be a limited amount of NFTs for every artist, and then based on that amount of NFTs that were going out to from all of the artists, that's how we determine the ranking of the artist. In terms of the community vote. So there will definitely be the community NFTs where you can show, it's going to be on the blockchain that you support that your favorite artist or that you supported this person or that person. So definitely NFTs are well in there. And I will also think about, some more memorabilia this year in terms of, remembering the event. But yes, I don't want people to pay to be there. I want them to just show up and enjoy it. No restrictions. But I do urge them to also visit through Spatial and the Central Land. Last year there was about 80 people in the spatial environment last year, which what I've heard is pretty good. So definitely we will be projecting it on multiple places as well. We will go to YouTube and LinkedIn and Restream and Twitch and all of those places as well. We'll have a few more places that we'll be streaming it out towards. And we'll also be opening up to in real life locations. That's also able to kind of mix into this in terms of sending us your visuals and your video. But thank you for that reminder of that NYC tickets. I think it's maybe a great idea to have something like that as well. So I'll discuss it with the team there and we'll see if we can have something like that also for this year. So thanks for the reminder. It's a great advice.
Shout out Candy Toy Box. But thank you for being on Blue to Black. It's been an amazing hour. I don't know, B, if you want to say any final words before we give it back to Blue to Black to end us off.
Just thank you for creating such an awesome platform. Thank you for, we need more of this. We need more of this energy in the world, period. So, yeah, shout out to you. And I'm definitely going to send that link out, see if we can get some more noms in there before the cutoff in the next couple of days. But yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much for coming today.
Absolute pleasure. And if you two are artists, now Zal, you're obviously disqualified. You're part of the team now. But you still able to submit something as a musician. I definitely think that it's well worth your time to have Zal nominate you as the best music producer of the year. So why not? Why not put your name out there? Why not give it a try, give it a shot, and see if it goes anywhere? You never know. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know what's the competition is like. So you know you might get the recognition that you deserve, and I'm sure you're a great musician. I can see it in your smile, I can see it in your stage presence. So looking forward to getting to know you through your art and your music as well there, B. So Brian, Zol, thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this hour with you, so thank you once again.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you. Honestly, really cool to be able to be a part of something so great, and I'm excited to get our top communities on it because there's specific people in specific communities that have just been cooking like crazy this year. So it's just gonna be a blast getting them to all come in, and like you said, getting everyone to see their names on that big list of all those nominated names is an absolute honor. So there's some people we definitely got to get up on there. So yeah, shout out to you. Thank you for pulling up, and yeah, we'll get on out of here.
Thank you all, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, thank you. Cool.